Welcome all in class 11 on electromagnetic theory. In today's class, we will discuss first about electric flux and then we will discuss about Gauss law. We will also formulate the mathematical modeling of Gauss law. After that, we will discuss about the applications of Gauss law, and after that we will calculate the electrical field due to charges distributed on line and on sheet by using Gauss law. So, electrical charges generate electrical field. The electrical field intensity is the property of electrical field defined for a point, and electrical field intensity is a quantity which indicates the strength of the electrical field at a point under the influence of charge and is a vector quantity. However, electrical flux indicates the electrical field linked with an area. That is, electrical field intensity was defined for a point. However, electrical flux is defined for an area, and it is defined as the net electrical field crossing through some area. So, electrical flux linked with a surface depends upon the strength of the electrical field, magnitude of the surface area, and direction of electrical field with respect to surface. For example, if electrical field is in tangent with the surface, then no electrical field crosses the surface. However, if surface is placed perpendicular to the electrical field, then maximum electrical field will cross the area. If an infinite surface ds is placed under the influence of electrical field E, then infinite small electrical flux d phi linked with the surface is d phi is equal to E dot ds, where d phi will be E ds cos of theta, where theta is angle between E and vector area ds. Area vector lies in a direction which is perpendicular to plane of area. So, if electrical field is in direction perpendicular to the plane, then we can say that the angle between electrical field and area vector ds is 0. That is, there will be maximum flux out of the area. For arbitrary surface S, the total flux linked with the surface can be evaluated by integrating the flux linked with infinite small area ds, that is, total flux linked with the surface can be evaluated by integrating of flux through infinite small area, which is equal to integration of E ds cos of theta. So next is Gauss law. Gauss law basically establishes a relation between the flux crossing through the closed surface and the charges which are concerned with generating that flux. And as per Gauss law, the total electrical flux phi through closed surface S surrounding the charge Q is 1 upon epsilon naught times the value of charge enclosed Q. So, in order to derive Gauss law, let us suppose a charge Q is placed at the center of a sphere of radius r. So electrical field emanates from the charge, and at any point we can say that the direction of electrical field is in direction of area vector. So again, in order to calculate the total flux emanating from the sphere, consider a small area ds on the surface of the sphere, and as the angle between area vector ds and electrical field is 0, so the small electrical flux emanating from small surface ds can be evaluated by that d phi is equal to E ds cos of theta, and theta here is 0, so the total flux which is coming out is E ds. So the total flux coming out of the entire sphere can be evaluated by integration of d phi, which is integration of E ds. Now the total surface area of sphere is 4 pi r square. So we can say that total flux coming out of sphere is E into 4 pi r square. Now the electrical field at ds can be evaluated by that there is a charge q, and we have to find electrical field which is at distance r from this charge. So electrical field on sphere is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square. So the total flux which we have evaluated to be equal to E into 4 pi r square, and if we substitute the value of E from this equation, we obtain that the total flux which is coming out of the sphere is q by epsilon naught, or we can say that E integration of ds is q by epsilon naught. So it is might possible that in spite of charge located at the center of the sphere, the charge is distributed uniformly on the sphere, and let us suppose rho is the volume charge density. So the total charge q can be evaluated by integration of rho over the volume dv. So from these two equations we also obtain that E, then integration over the surface ds is equal to integration of rho dv by epsilon naught. Now by using divergence theorem to convert surface integral into the volume integral, we obtain that surface integral E dot ds can be represented as del dot E into dv. So by equating these two terms, that is del dot E integration over volume dv is rho dv integration divided by epsilon naught. From here we can conclude that divergence of E is equal to rho by epsilon naught. So now we have two definitions of Gauss law. The first definition states that total electrical flux through closed surface S surrounded by charge Q is 1 upon epsilon naught times the value of charge enclosed, and mathematically it can also be represented as del dot E is equal to rho by epsilon naught. So this equation, that is del dot E is equal to rho by epsilon naught, is also called Maxwell's first equation. After that, there is applications of Gauss law, that why we are using that, for what purpose we are using Gauss law. So it can be used to calculate the electrical field intensity of symmetrical charge distributions. While using Gauss law to calculate electrical field intensity, we use Gaussian surface which have the following conditions. Gaussian surface is basically an hypothetical surface which is just used to calculate the electrical field intensity at the surface. The Gaussian surface considered should have the following properties: that surface is closed, at every point of surface electrical field is either normal or tangential to the surface, and at every point on the surface strength of electrical field is same. The severe requirement is that surface is closed. The surface is closed is required due to the fact that the whole electrical field which is emanating from the charge should be considered. So now we are calculating the field of a point charge using Gauss law. So field of a point charge means that we have some charge, point charge, and we want to calculate field due to point charge at some point P. So consider charge is distributed uniformly over a sphere of radius small r, and rho is volume charge distribution. That is, this sphere of small radius r is taken as point charge. Let we have to calculate electrical field at point P located at distance capital R from the center of the sphere. So in order to find electrical field at point P, what we are doing is we are drawing a sphere of radius r, capital R, such that in it encounters point P. As point charge is covered by a sphere, so every electrical line which is emanating by this point charge is enclosed by this sphere. So in order to calculate electrical field at point P, a closed sphere of radius capital R which passes through point P is drawn. Now surface area, total surface area of sphere is 4 pi r square. So electrical field crosses through this area. From the symmetry, it is evident that electrical field at every point on the surface is same, because distance from the charge to point on the surface of sphere is same, and let it be E. That is, we are assuming that electrical field at point P is E, and we have to find electrical field at point P which is E. It is evident that at every point on the surface, angle between radial line and surface vector is 0. So by applying Gauss theorem, the Gauss theorem was that total flux which is coming out of this sphere is equal to Q by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed. So the total flux is E dot ds, and as the angle between area vector ds and E is 0, so it can simply be written as E ds, and total surface area of the sphere is 4 pi capital R square, and the total flux which is coming out is equal to Q by epsilon naught, where Q is the charge on the small sphere of radius small r, and which is also acting as point charge. So from here the electrical field at point P is Q by epsilon naught 4 pi r square. So electrical field we have derived due to point charge is Q by 4 pi epsilon naught r square. Next we have to calculate the field of a line charge using Gauss law. Here we have in a conductor of length L. The charge is distributed uniformly on the conductor. So let us suppose rho L indicates the charge density per unit length of the conductor. So total charge on the conductor can be evaluated by multiplying rho L with the length of the conductor. We have to find field at some point P by using Gauss theorem. So in order to find field at point P, we need to draw a Gaussian surface. So let us suppose we are using a cylinder as the Gaussian surface, and let us suppose the radius of the cylinder is R, capital R, such that this cylinder R encloses point P as shown in the figure. That is, we are drawing a cylinder of radius R, capital R, which encloses point P. So in order to encounter the total electrical field radiated by the line, we need to consider three surfaces, and these surfaces are S1, S2 and S3. The cross-sectional area of S1 and S2 are same, and the total cross-sectional area of S3 is 2 pi capital R into L. Now the area vectors in S1, S2 and S3 direction are perpendicular to these surfaces. So the area vector S1 cap is perpendicular to the cross-sectional area S1. S1 2 cap indicates the area vector for S2, and S3 cap indicates the area vector for S3. Now from the direction of electrical field radiated by this conductor, it is obvious that S3 lies in the direction of electrical field, while area vector S1 and S2 lies perpendicular to the direction of electrical field. So the total flux which is coming out of the cylinder can be evaluated by integrating the electrical field over surface S1, over surface S2 and over surface S3. That is, total flux which is coming out of the cylinder is evaluated by taking integration of E over surface S1, integration of E over surface S2 and integration of E over surface S3. Now as we discussed earlier, that direction of electrical field radiated by conductor is in direction of area vector S3 cap. However, the electrical field is perpendicular to area vector S1 cap as well as area vector S2 cap. That is, angle between area vector S2 cap and E is 90 degree. In a similar way, angle between area vector S1 cap and E is again 90 degree. However, angle between S3 cap and E is 0. So we can conclude that electrical flux only emanates from surface S3, because cos of 0 becomes 1 and cos of 90 will become 0. So the total flux will come only through surface S3, and area of surface S3 is 2 pi RL. So from Gauss theorem we can conclude that the total electric flux which is coming out of the surface S3 is Q by epsilon naught, where Q is the total charge on the line, and total charge on the line can be calculated by multiplying the length L of the conductor with rho L. So the electrical field can be evaluated by taking Q by 2 pi epsilon naught capital R into L. L will cancel out. So the electrical field is equal to rho L divided by 2 pi epsilon naught R at point P. So next is to calculate the field of an infinite charge sheet using Gauss law. So here we have a sheet, that is, it is a conducting sheet on which charge is distributed uniformly. Let us suppose rho S is the charge density, that is charge per unit area on the sheet. The total charge on the sheet can be evaluated by multiplying rho S with the area of the sheet. In order to find field at point P, which lies at some distance from the sheet, we need to use a Gaussian surface. And let us suppose we are using a box as a Gaussian surface such that point P lies on the outer surface S1. However, if we consider only one box that is above the sheet, then the flux which is leaving the sheet in negative direction will not be considered. So in order to consider the whole flux emitted by the sheet in positive direction as well as in negative direction, so we need to consider another Gaussian surface exactly below the sheet of same dimensions as was considered above the sheet. So we can analyze that the flux will leave only from surface S1 and from surface S2. S1 and S2 are in line with each other, and even the surface of S1, surface area of S1 as well as surface area of S2 is exactly same. The flux will leave only from surface S1 and from S2. However, for all other surfaces, the flux will not leave from the other surfaces because the angle between electrical field and area vector for all other surfaces will be 90 degree. So E cos of 90 will become 0, that is flux will only leave from surface S1 and S2. So in order to calculate the field at point P in front of a sheet, a closed surface S is drawn in the form of rectangular parallelepiped which is extended equally in either side of planar charge. The flux emanates only from S1 and S2 of parallelepiped. If we assume that surface S1 as well as surface S2 is exactly same, and let us suppose this is equal to S, then applying Gauss theorem we find that total flux coming out of surface S1 and S2 can be evaluated by integration of E dot ds1 plus E dot ds2. E dot ds1, its integration will be E, and the total surface area S ds1 is S. Similarly, for surface S2, the direction of electrical field as well as direction of area vector S2 will be opposite to the direction of electrical field and direction of area vector S1. So we can say that again E dot ds2 will be E into S, and it will come out to be a positive term, because for E dot ds2 the direction of E as well as direction of ds2 is reversed or opposite as compared to E and ds1. So the total flux is 2Es, and the total flux which is coming out as per Gauss law is Q by epsilon naught. So here Q is charge on the sheet having surface area S. Here charge is rho S into S. So from here we can conclude that the electrical field at point P is rho S by 2 epsilon naught. So this was all we want to discuss in this lecture. Thank you.